since there's no compare. Jordi and I worked together 15 years ago, and I think we connected on a deeper level. There's a director-actor relationships, but there are various kinds of relationships. It's a professional relationship. It's a relationship of getting to know each other. From a director's point of view, it's a relationship of trying to open the actor's heart out to see how far I can push the actor. I think with Jordi, I felt a kind of a spiritual connection. And we didn't work long enough, and I've always wanted to meet him again, and we didn't meet for 15 years. We're meeting for the first time today again. And so somebody said, so what was it like? So I said, well, let's go on to stage and open our hearts out again, and open your heart out again, Jordi. And see, you tell me what you hated about me or what you loved about me. I can tell you that the connection was, my job with him was easy because words were not enough. I knew that. Somewhere we went beyond words, which is what spirituality is about. That's what spiritual connections are about. When with an actor, the words make very little sense. Somewhere we know each other, and then we know that we've known each other a long time ago. And so here's Jordi. After 15 years, now we are together, asking each other, well, how did you feel?
Sí, fue una conexión así instantánea, más allá de un actor o de un director. Nos tomamos un café y no sé, me resultó tan familiar, ¿no? Nunca he estado en India, pero siempre he tenido un sentido puesto por allí, ¿no? Me encanta la música india, sí, pero siempre he querido ir a India. Solo tengo un amigo en India, este señor. Entonces fue eso, lo que dice él, ¿no? Como nos entendimos perfectamente y a mí me dio lo que todo intérprete querría, ¿no? Es tener a un director que te deja hacer prácticamente lo que tú consideres como intérprete que tienes que hacer. Entonces todo fue muy fácil, muy atrevido, sobre todo interpretando a Felipe II. Bueno, pues por el hecho de ser español, pues parecía que tenía una espada de Damocles, pero la verdad es que no estudié absolutamente nada sobre la figura de Felipe II, no sé absolutamente nada, porque en manos de un director así, ahora funciona, en manos de un director así no necesitaba literatura. Hay otros personajes que he necesitado literatura biográfica, pero en el caso de Shekhar estábamos pintando, no estábamos haciendo una película, estábamos como pintando, y cuando yo le veía rodar, que yo no rodaba, me acercaba al monitor y tenía la misma sensación de una flexibilidad que tiene él, no solamente creativa, sino también física. Este hombre es capaz de poner una pierna aquí detrás, como si fuera un niño. You know, you're able to put your leg here like if you were a kid, because you're ultra flexible, and that's a great thing to have, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't get everything that you said, but I guess he said that he liked working with me, yes? Okay. Okay, and I guess you said that you didn't know anything about Philip II, or I did not know anything. Well, both of us didn't. So we didn't make a historically correct film. I'm not sure, we might have, but we created a character that came, it evolved. It just evolved. The whole idea of the character within the constraints of what we were doing, it just evolved. But that was 15 years ago. Let's talk about now. Jordi, you're a painter, you're a singer, You're a composer. You are almost like a Renaissance man. Why do you paint? What do you get? I want to paint, but he does. So I'm just going to explore Jordi's life a little bit. Can I do that? Yeah. Tell me.
I guess it's a need that I always had, even when I was a small kid. For me, playing and imagining different fields was happiness. My parents would go crazy with me because I could sleep literally with 10 little cars because they were my friends. I could bring a toy to reality and put a name on it, on a little car, and sleep with the cars and imagine that they were something else than a little toy. Creativity, I guess. And then at the age of 20-something, I had this vigorous explosion of creativity in all senses, making little movies with Super 8, playing instruments also. And I feel I saw this will that you have also towards to understand something in another level. And that's why we get along so well. You know, I haven't seen this gentleman for 15 years, yeah. But I have a feeling it was yesterday, you know, and that's friendship, you know, and that's a beautiful thing, especially nowadays, you know, to have a friend that you don't see, but if I write him during pandemic, I still remember his email address. I don't remember anything. But, and he's always available, you know, and humble, open, flexible, again, slow but certain, great observator, great listener, beyond. And besides the experience, the cinematography experience that we had, to me, the best moments were sitting in his place in London, and he would talk, you know, and I still remember one story. Yeah. You were on the floor, we were eating, I was on a chair, I'm European, you're Indian, you're more flexible than Europeans. And you said to me, life is, you're on a plane. Somebody opens the door of the plane, somebody pushes you, and then you start falling, but you think, I'm saved, I have a parachute. You keep falling, and you also enjoy the view because you know you're saved and that you have a parachute. When the moment arrives, you say, okay, let's open the parachute. And then the parachute doesn't open. That is life.
Okay, so when two old friends meet after, and especially if they're boys or men, we talk about, are you in love? That's the first question I asked. I said, Jordi, are you in love? And he remembered who I was in love with at that time. And so I'm going to open that up. Jordi, are you in love? You can talk. Are you?
I am in love with life. That's my love now. Yeah.
What is it? To be like not, I mean, okay, so you're not in love with a woman, but you're in love with life. How do you handle that? Tell.
No, being open. Being open and also being selective, no? What you do, we don't have that much time. I mean, nobody knows how much time they have. Young people think they are going to live forever, but you see things that time is a trick, no? But no, being in love with life is just being open. Hola. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and you know better than me what feels like being in love with life. I see Shekhar walking, and I don't need to I know everything. I know everything that's going on. You're a traveler. You're a huge traveler. Shekhar seems that he's not moving literally, but he's moving all over the world, and he's doing constantly projects. So my task now as a friend is to make you to paint. We need to start painting.
Okay.
You're gonna love
Yeah,
it. You're gonna love it.
Okay. I have the canvas, I have the brushes, I have everything, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid. You know, we are afraid. Afraid of, as it is, I'm afraid of making that first brush stroke. That's a huge comment on creativity. The fear of the first move, the fear of the brush stroke. And that is what I admire artists for. You know, when I shoot, I don't know if you noticed, I plan everything. And then I start to be afraid of planning everything, because the one thing you cannot plan for is the moment. How can you plan for a moment that hasn't yet arrived? So I unplan then when I get there. I don't know if you noticed that, but when I get there, I find ways to panic my mind. And I start telling myself, oh, today they're going to find out I'm the big con, that I don't know how to direct, anything to put my mind in absolute panic. And the reason for that is, that's the only way I can get rid of my ego. Because the ego says you know, and panic says you don't. And so I put myself in this idea of I don't know, and I don't know if you notice, I would come to you or I say, how would you like to do it? That's because I'm in a panic now. I don't know what to do. And in that moment of panic, I'm hoping that something will come. Some people call it God. Some people call it the moment. Some people call it fate. Some people call it life or bolt or creativity. Wherever it comes from, it comes. But it's panic. And how often every day to convince yourself that you can panic enough to find that which did not exist. How do you paint? How do you do that first brushstroke? That's the panic, right? Right, yeah.
But it's very helpful to be in this state of panic. Otherwise, we would get bored, and you would get totally bored if there was not this.
Yeah, yeah. So I have one more question. I'm going to open it to the audience. I can see everybody's faces saying, what are these guys talking about? We want to talk to them, okay? So I'm going to open one thing. So I'm older than you are. While I look back, I say, people ask me constantly, why did you do this and why did you do that? Or why did you do this and why did you decide not to do that? And the only answer I have, I don't know. Something happened in life. I'm flying through that parachute, without the parachute, and you fall into something, and that happens. I cannot remember when I last made a great decision to do something. It just happened. Life just happened. So I've decided that the greatest illusion in our lives is control. I've never had control. And so I gave up. I just gave up. I fly through, I walk through, and then somewhere you fall into a ditch. The ditch had to happen there, and you had to fall into it. That's it. And then the scrambling out of the ditch is the event that you create. And then you walk, oh, I'm never doing this again. And then you fall into another ditch. So I just walk through, waiting to fall into a ditch. Does that make sense? Yes, say yes. Yeah, great, okay. So when you look back at your life, did you ever feel you were in control? Were you ever in control, or did you make decisions that were controlled?
Well, no, I just go with it, no?
Yeah.
It's like nature, it's like life.
Yeah. Should we give them questions?
¿Tenéis alguna pregunta que hacer?
Okay, the thing is, we don't have that much time. I would love to listen to your life stories, but ask questions, okay? All right.
Well, thank you. I was not expecting such a spiritual, deep conversation. So, I will take this opportunity. I love cinema, but I have had this idea of I want to tell the story of my family. I'm going to cry. But I'm not related to anyone. it's just like I cannot take good videos. I just have this need that I really want to tell the story of my family. I don't want it to be lost. So now that you said, like, how do you take this first stroke? So I don't know if you have any advice. Like, I don't know anyone in the business or anything. I just know that I want to tell the story. And yeah, I don't know if you have any advice.
While Jordi's thinking, I'm the director, so I'll speak. He's the actor, he has to think. No, here's the thing. You want to tell your family's life story. Do you know what it is? And then in order for you, it is now you telling the life story. Do you know who you are? Do you have to find out? So what context are you going to tell the life story of your family unless you really know who you are? That's the first thing. In any creative thing I've ever done, that's the first question. In this story, who am I? Why am I supposed to do it? Who am I? It's a constant search for yourself. I get up in the morning, I know somebody here who's looking at me right now, say, I get stressed out every morning. I have huge anxiety. My anxiety is, who am I today? Who am I? Who was I yesterday? Who am I? So that's my answer, Jordi. All right, that means next question. Yes.
¿Alguna pregunta? Así que... Aquí. Ah.
There was somebody there.
Sí, sí. Your friend.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes. I wanted to know, I'll say it in English and then, since there's translation, you felt a particular connection, and you're not the first Spaniard and Indian who've told me that when they met, artists, there's a special connection they've not found with anyone else. Do you think there's an underlying shared creativity between Indians and Spaniards or Mediterranean?
Absolutely,
the
yes.
intuitive way of looking at the world that you would not find with a German or a French or a Brit, where we are maybe so alike, and it's also difficult sometimes for Spaniards and Indians to work together because they are so similar, and they're both very proud people. So I want to have your opinion. You have not been to India, you've been to Spain only a couple of times, but do you think it's a cultural affinity also?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely yes. But not only, this is my only Indian friend. But when I talk to Indians, in Barcelona there's a lot of Indians community, I get it. I get it. I don't know where it comes from. I think it's the Mediterranean. It's something very Mediterranean. And I feel every time I talk to an Indian citizen, I feel the Mediterranean. It's being far away, more than Rome, than Greece, and it seems some salt of the Mediterranean Sea arrives to India.
Yeah.
See, some crazy wave thousands of years ago brought some salt of Mediterranean people to India.
And the wave is still traveling?
Pardon?
The wave is still traveling?
It is. If I still feel this thing, it's because, but of course you need to be, you are opened, and I am opened.
Yeah.
And that's what
clicked.
Exacto.
Now you got it. When we first met, I felt I was meeting someone whose heart was completely open.
Yes.
But you know, Guillermo, there's like that tree, you see the tree behind you, there's a leaf. The leaf is connected to the branch. The branch is connected to the tree is connected to the soil is connected to the next tree. That connection goes into the next tree, into that, and that leaf. So there's that one leaf having a great conversation with the other leaf. And you don't even know it, right? But you only know it because they are connected. So everything is connected if you look for it, if you don't deny it. Connection is something that is open. Children know connection. Connection can only fail when you deny it. We deny connectivity. We deny that, constantly deny it, because we're afraid. We are afraid of connections. So really what Jordi is saying is, we're not afraid. Maybe we come from two cultures that are not afraid of being connected. Right? So, we've dropped the fear. That was clever. Okay, all right. Okay. Question? Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, back there.
So good evening, Shekhar ji and Jordi. So I just heard that you met after 15 years, you know. So do we now expect something great for the world cinema? You know, I know the best director of the India and, you know, one of the best actor for Spain. So are we expecting something big happening in the future?
I'm going to tell you something about the gentleman who's asking the question, because that's always important, right? He owns a bank. He has to come out and give us the money to make something great. So you are.
So that's why I'm asking you.
Oh, great! Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, a big applause for the gentleman with the question. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But seriously, sir, you know.
No, seriously, I would give anything, because I think that both Jordi and I, at the time that we've been away, we've both become exploring the spirituality a lot. Yes? Through his paintings, through my adventuring and craziness. And I think when we come together again, whatever we do, whichever story, the underlying fact, the underlying subtext of the story will be very spiritual. And I think that's where we get connected a lot. So yes, it doesn't have to be Buddha or anything like that, but it has to be a story that is deeply spiritual. So the audience coming out feel the spirituality as a kind of something that they've understood about the planet, about themselves, about our connection to the eternal. You know, because what our biggest prison is our own sense of individuality. That's our prison. We are enclosed in this cage where you say, I'm an individual. You're enclosed in that. And between Jordi and I, we had no such cage. We let go of our individuality. And so having let go, we discovered a new way of performing, a new way of talking. So yes, now you've started it, you can't go back, right? Okay, great, he did this. Did you all see that? Right, great, okay.
Hi, Shekhar. Yeah.
Oh my God, the ambassador, or should I not say that?
No, you can say that. You know, every time I see a Hollywood movie or a Bollywood movie or a Spanish movie, which we now see on OTT platforms much more than before, there's a set formula in every movie industry. You know, a set formula. You know, you can see a Bollywood movie and immediately know this is a Bollywood movie because there's a formula. You see Hollywood movies today, they have a certain character of the way they do it. Spanish movies the same way. Is there really a set criteria which you can do when you work together? What I mean is, what are the elements that go into making something? Do you plan for a particular audience, or is there a global audience planning that you do? I'm asking this seriously because I find every film industry has its own set of criteria that they look at. Who is the audience? Because I like the fact that you told her that you have to know who you are to start your own story. But to start your own story, you need to know whom you're going to tell it to. And so, does it come? How do you define whom you're telling your story to? How do you make your own films? As a question to both of you. I'd love if both of you can answer.
I never think about that, but over to you.
Excuse me, Ambassador, but I was just thinking a question to ask you, so I didn't pay attention to the Ambassador. I'm very sorry.
Can't do that to the ambassador.
Wonderful, you can ask me.
No. I wanted to ask Shekhar a question.
Go ahead.
So really what the ambassador is asking is that you always have to have a plot that you start with when you're thinking of film, and then how do you know that plot will relate to the audiences? Correct?
That's an impossible question. And I think that if you're just paying attention to the audience, you're not paying attention to the characters. And a director and a writer just needs to pay attention to the creatures in the story. And hopefully the audience will like it. Of course, you know, we consider the audience, and I think it's a beautiful thing to consider the audience as artists. Mm-hmm. But our task is to pay attention to what we have in front.
Yeah. So what Jordi's just said, that the characters define the plot. The plot doesn't define, so what comes before. That's how I work. I always find characters and say, here are the characters I want to tell a story about. Now, of course, I have to find a story, a plot. And of course, you're right. A lot of films have plots. But that's like, you know, when you're driving, you have the rules of, you know, traffic. You don't think so much about driving. You're thinking about something else. So how do you put the audience in a moment where they think they're driving, but they're not? That has gone into a plot, and then they're really thinking about everything else that's going on. You know, you're not just driving. So that plot then becomes the device with which you seduce the audience. Look, you're driving, so don't worry about it. That's what it's about, but really it's about everything else.
No, because I'm gonna, if I don't ask you one question, at least one, no, because it doesn't occur to me, then it happens to me always that I will regret, because then I will have tonight, when I'm in bed, 1,000 questions to ask you, okay?
That's all right, call me in the morning.
Exacto. Yeah. Exacto. No, but there was this director called Coppola in Cannes. I didn't see anything. But I could see him saying hope, 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 and then he left the theater. What is the hope? Which direction you think? Where is the hope? Where is?
Surely hope is a far larger thing. It's what drives us. Hope. If there was no hope, why would we do anything? Why would I even... I hope. But hope is also driven by fear. I'm afraid, therefore I hope that everything turns out okay. Fear, hope, spirituality. Spirituality is also hope. Hope, without hope, I don't think that we can define life. We cannot define living without living with hope. I would be lying if I say that I'd live without fear, because fear provokes hope. You know, and there's a lot, we'll talk about this later, and people ask me a lot, because I'm big into technology, where does AI, what's different in AI and human beings? I said, AI can't hope. AI can't fear. You know, when I was a kid, my parents, we used to go up to the mountains during summer, and I used to run down the river, jumping from boulder to boulder to boulder. And at one time, I would pick up so much momentum that I knew I couldn't stop. So I already had to know which boulder I'm stepping onto, jumping onto 3 boulders later. And I found that very exciting. So I hoped I wouldn't fall, but I did it because I was afraid. I was provoking fear. Why would I do it if I didn't feel afraid? I climb a mountain because I could fall. We make a film because it might fail. We fall in love. If we knew everything and there was no hope or fear in love, then why would we love? There's nothing. We would just be okay, you know. Love is the idea of she loves me not. You remember that? She loves me not. Love is a product of fear. Love is a product of hope. Life is a product of hope. So I hope every moment, every breath is a hope. Every breath, when you take in a breath, hope, you expel it, fear, and then breath says, come back again. Hope, fear, hope, fear. That's how we go. We got 15 minutes, so you guys have to ask more. Questions? Yes.
Excuse me.
Hi, hello. My name is Azucena de la Fuente. And hi, Jordi. We worked together, I don't know if you remember, The Flower of My Secret with Almodovar, a long time ago, 95. So I'm an actress and a director and also a painter. And I wanted to ask you, how do you handle this? Because sometimes I find it's sort of hard. So, and also if you channel something from upstairs. Thank you.
Thank you, gracias. At a very, very young age, I wanted to play the drums. I was obsessed of playing the drums. Just the drum set was something like a spaceship for me, you know, from the perspective of a kid. It has metal, it has gold, it has a lot of things going on. So to me, this image, and I will explain briefly, this image of this drum set that I had in a magazine, I would fall asleep with this photo. Hola, hola. I would. He's the director, he has more volume, of course. And so I would be fascinated with this spaceship called drum set, okay? So I would ask for a drum set, I never got a drum set. But I got 2 sticks. So I started playing with anything I could find in my parents' house. Anything would be a drum for me. Why am I saying this? Because to me, the difficult thing is to do only one thing. To me, that's super difficult. I mean, I see actors that they've been actors all their lives, and only actors. I mean, I can't breathe. I need to have a lot of lovers, and I'm not designed to be married. I'm not designed. I'm not designed to be fully committed to one thing except God. That's the only thing. But it's in my nature to do. Then I feel relaxed. Well, I paint, and then I'm writing a book, and then okay, I'm doing this little thing for this TV, whatever, this movie. Well, how many days? 5 days? Okay, I'll do it. 5 months? I don't do it. No, I don't have time. I need time. Time is everything we have. So I think it's a good thing, you know, that you do all this, because then you lose fear. I mean, you know. And it's interesting because we live in a moment where people want to do a lot of things at the same time. You know, you go to Instagram and then you see the title of one person that says co-founder of this and then musician / it's the era of //. Is it good? Is it bad? Are they perfect in all these concepts with a slash in between? Who cares, you know? It's like this set we have in Spain, Shekhar. El mito de zapatero a tus zapatos está más obsoleto que el descubrimiento de América, perdonar, ¿no? And that's my philosophy, and I feel a lot of young people felt this in me when I was younger, you know, because I would write a book, and I would publish a book at 27 years old, and then I would start painting, and then I would start directing, and then I would start... And I remember the press were overwhelmed, and I was like with a sword here all the time at the age of 33. But, you know, then you meet people like Shekhar, and Shekhar is into, of course, spirituality, and of course he's friends with Deepak Chopra, and of course, and you know, and this is what fascinates me about this man. It's not that he directed The Four Feathers or Elizabeth I part, no. What makes me be here and what made me say yes was the way this person thinks and sees the world. Ya está.
You know, the question you said, where does your creativity come from, here or point up there? It's a question that I think about all the time. You know, sometimes I think if we didn't have this bone tissue on our skulls, our brains would be open to the cosmos. We could see our neurons floating. And if you saw our neurons floating, would we really believe that we are individual, or would we believe that somehow we are connected? So I've often thought about I've started to believe that creativity is not inside here. It's up there. And creativity is an access point. every now and again we can create conditions. Like I was creating panic. I think that I found my answers the same place that a composer does, the same place as an actor does, the same place that a physicist does. We find that moment, that moment of creativity. But there are conditions we have to create. We have to let go of our ego. We have to find humility. And then beyond that, I think children find it all the time. When a child is born, they're constantly 100% creative all the time. You watch children playing, you realize that they're far, far more creative than us. But they haven't at that moment developed a huge skill. They're not Einstein. When Einstein actually got that moment when he developed E is equal to mc square, he had been working all his life to find it. In India, sometimes classical musicians play one rag, it's one tune, all their lives. They'll repeat it again and again and again and again. And I'm saying, why are they going to spend their whole lives, 15 hours a day, singing the same rag? And then I understood. Because when the moment of absolute humility comes, when the connection comes, they are ready to receive it. And when they receive it, what really happens is that they and the rag become one. That's true creativity. When you and the creative act become one, you are no longer being creative, you are creative. That's where, because when you point it up there, I think about it all the time. Where does it lie? Where does creativity lie? Phew, that was a big answer. Okay, yeah. The question right at the back.
Good evening. So you've talked about creativity and you've talked about love and how it's such a powerful emotion. It's a product of different emotions and how AI will not consider hope. So in a context of films, in a sense, it's a debate about rational versus emotion. So in your creative sense, in a film, how do you make the decision? Like as a young person who's just in her college right now, I have to make a lot of decisions in the future. So where do you lean? How do you choose between the rational side or your emotional side? Which one do you follow?
No, I didn't.
She's a student and she has to make a lot of decisions. I think you study mathematics, right? All right. Okay, also a dancer. All right. Okay, so she has to make a lot of decisions. How do you make, even if there is a distinction between the rational and the creative? But she mentioned love. Do you think love is rational or creative? So I'm going to throw it back to you. Which one of, where would you put love? Would you say it's rational or would you say it's creative?
I think it starts off as like very rational decisions. Do you want to go forward with this or not? But at the end of the day, I also believe it's out of your control. Like sometimes it's just meant to be and it's just something you feel very, very deeply. And it might not be something you want to follow, but there are times you just can't control it. And I'm a very passionate believer in love and like when it's just meant to be. So
you start with rationality and then later you just let go and it's out of control. Okay, I'm going to give this. Jordi has done many other things constantly in his life. So
I think there is a component. There is a component that I think it's called morality, no? Because you want to do it right. Who cares about right? You know, this wants to do it right, but this just wants to do it. So it's like, again, the fight with the ego and the panic that Shekhar talks about. So don't try, first of all. Do it, like painting, and get rid of judgment and morality, you know. That's it. If you think about it, it's super simple. And as we talk all the time, drop it. Just drop it. Lose respect for it. And then the idea will show you the real face. But if you're contemplating an idea like we contemplate the idea of God or no, then of course we're in a position of total respect and there is a right and there is a wrong. But God is not right or wrong. Creativity is not right or wrong. It's just it. So stop thinking and just do. No?
Okay. I don't think we've got time for one or two. Yes. Question.
I was curious. I mean, both of you were talking about spiritualism and connections. I was curious whether, when you're working on a project, is this spiritual connection like an important part when you choose partners, people? Because on a film project, there are many people, right? So I'm curious to know, how often do you feel a deep connect with at least most of your primary partners on a film? Is that a vital point when you make a choice, select a project or select actors or select even technicians and things like that? I'd like both of you to answer if it's possible.
Well, I'll give it to Jordi, but its answer is simple for me. Spirituality is not a box. It's not like, okay, this is the spiritual aspect of me. Spirituality is like a gentle breeze that's always flowing. We may recognize it, we might see it, we may not. All children that are born, we are born spiritual. And so we've just shut ourselves off, and then we start to silo things. This is spiritual, this is not spiritual, this is... I don't look for spiritual actors to work with. But that doesn't mean that I'm not constantly feeling this wave of spirituality, like a tide coming in, flowing through me. I just have to recognize it, that's all. But there's no stricture, oh, you got to be spiritual. Nothing. It's just a little... It's a feeling. It's a gentle feeling, knowing that that's actually the idea of eternity exists. And I'm not shut into a box of the defined. The more I define myself, the more I confine myself. So I just accept that everything is ill-defined, undefined. The more undefined it is, the more human it is. The greater the story is. The more non-defined the characters are, the greater the characters are. The more non-defined the plot is, the greater that plot is. Anyway, that's me. Jordi.
Totally, yeah. But in a movie, as a director, you have the producer, you have the rationality aspect of the whole dream. I remember you told me one day, I don't remember where, I just, boom, came to my mind. The best day is the day you have the idea. After that, the first step you take, it's all a disaster. It just came to my mind in London again, yeah.
One more question. One more question. Yes. Somebody there. Got a mic there, please.
Hi, so thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. I have a question from both of you. So you talked a lot about creativity, spirituality, and then some offshoot conversation about technology, like how AI and all. So one thing, how have you seen across your careers technology evolving the film and both ways? And then how much do you think the creative process is very much independent of the tools of the game?
Technology, look, when my daughter was 3, she was cutting the curtains into patterns, and she was taking crayons and drawing all over the walls. She was being very creative. Her technology was crayons as a pair of scissors. So technology has always been, sometimes my hands are my technology. I'm gesturing, I'm talking like that. I'm using a technology that is inherent in me, but when I'm doing this right now, as a dancer or as a speaker or as somebody trying to explain, I'm using this technology. Over time, new technologies develop. As long as the technology does not dominate what you want to create, it's a tool. It's always great tools for technology. Camera is a tool. I remember when they started talkies, everybody said it's the end of cinema because all the actors couldn't speak. So the new technologies develop. So technology is always a tool. Anything else? I'm about to get that. You've got to stop this. I'm going to take one more question, and then we stop. Okay? Here we are. The question is over.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all.